On Friday, July 24, 2015, on a hot summer day in Jupiter, Florida, 14-year-old Austin Stephanos and his longtime friend, 14-year-old Perry Cohen, disappeared while fishing out at sea. The day began with Austin and Perry leaving Austin's residence, with both planning to travel alone in Austin's mother's registered 19-foot single-engine Seacraft boat. They planned to take a fishing trip off the coast of Jupiter, Florida. Later on, before noon, the boys text their parents at approximately 11 a.m. to check in before heading out. The boys also bought more than $100 worth of fuel at the Jupiter Marina at around 1:30 p.m. Following that afternoon, Austin and Perry left the Jupiter Marina and traveled out of the Jupiter Inlet into the open Atlantic Ocean. Unknowingly, shortly after making their way into the Atlantic Ocean, Austin and Perry were hit by a severe thunderstorm with winds up to 40 miles per hour. It was also reported that Austin and Perry were using Snapchat on their phones before the storm capsized the boat. Their last message read, "We're fucked." During the storm, the boys were unable to request for help due to the fact that the boat lacked a radio which could have saved their lives by them radioing for help before the storm capsized their boat. After no further communication from Austin and Perry that day, with the evening approaching, Austin's mother, Miss Black, became worried when she tried multiple times to make contact with Austin, but didn't receive any messages nor a call back. She decided to call her ex-husband, Austin's father, for help. Austin's father attempted to search for the boys on his boat, but failed to find them. This led Miss Black to finally contact Perry's parents and inform them the boys were missing. Thereafter, Perry's stepfather, Nick, immediately called 911. On the day the boys went missing, a woman reported that she saw a boat broken down with the two boys abroad, about 300 yards off the Jupiter coast before the storm approached. The woman's phone records showed she called the Coast Guard 3 times, but not too long after she said it appeared the boys got the boat to work again and headed off before any help could arrive. Another incident was reported 2 days after the boys went missing. A pilot came forward who was part of the massive search and rescue and told investigators he's positive he saw one of the boys floating on debris. The pilot, Bobby Smith, told Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission investigators that while flying off the Georgia coast on July 26, at around 1,000 feet, he spotted 2 white pieces of debris tied together with an orange life jacket. Smith reported he then dropped to 200 feet and saw a person waving his hands over his head. Smith also took one photograph of the debris to prove his claims. He stated he climbed back up to 1,500 feet to radio control tower of his finds. But when he went back down, he could no longer find the white debris tied together nor the person. After reporting what he saw, the Coast Guard went to the location described by Smith, but nothing was found. Sadly, the same day the pilots reported his incident, Austin and Perry's boat was spotted from another aircraft, which was part of the search. The boys' boat was located approximately 65 miles off the coast of Daytona Beach, Florida. Unfortunately, the boat was not recovered after the Coast Guard placed a beacon tracker which failed to work when trying to relocate the boat after continuing searching for the boys failed. The Coast Guard eventually called off the search for the boys a week after they went missing. The search covered nearly 50,000 square miles along a stretch of ocean that extended from the shore of Jupiter to North Carolina. The families also ended their own private, personally funded search for the boys on August 10, 2015. Later that year, after no luck finding the missing boys, on September 2015, approximately 167 miles from Jupiter, Florida, the boat was located again. But once again, it could not be recovered. It vanished before rescue crews could arrive. Eventually, the boat was finally recovered on March 2016, almost a year after the boys went missing. The boat was discovered off the coast of the Bermuda, 1,000 miles away from where it was originally first spotted. The boat was recovered by a Norwegian transport ship and delivered to a local Florida port in mid-May. Under inspection of the boat, the battery switch, which was difficult to reach, almost impossible to switch off by accident, was switched off, and the key was still in the ignition in the off position. Before the recovery of the boat, it was reported by the boys' parents that both Perry and Austin were very experienced in fishing and boating. Austin's parents reported that Austin had been driving boats since the age of 10 and was also capable of making minor engine repairs. Authorities also found Austin's iPhone with 2 fishing toolboxes on the boat, but some items, including a white Yeti cooler and life jackets, were missing. Unfortunately, the iPhone was badly damaged due to months of exposure to the salt water. After the discovery of the phone, Austin's father initially didn't want police to examine it, but eventually agreed. But authorities were unable to recover any data off the phone due to the damage. In June 2016, Florida Department of Law Enforcement opened an investigation against Austin's mother, Ms. Black, for possible child neglect. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement concluded they found violations of the state law against child neglect, consisting of permitting the boys to go offshore into the Atlantic Ocean, a dangerous environment, while on a boat with no source of communication radio and without any adult or parental supervision. The report also criticized Austin's family for not contacting Perry's parents or the authorities after they knew or should have known that the boys were missing and in possible danger. Before Austin and Perry went missing, and before all the publicity that followed, Austin and Perry's mothers were good friends. But after the boys disappeared, the friendship and families fell apart. Perry's mother stated Perry was not allowed to go fishing without any adult present, and Austin's parents failed to notify anyone of the boys missing until a few hours had passed. This caused Perry's parents to consider Austin's parents responsible for the tragedy and wanted them to pay a steep price for their loss. Perry's parents ultimately filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Austin's mother and father for their son's disappearance and death, which is still an active suit. But as of 2019, the boys' bodies have never been recovered, and both boys are presumed missing at sea.